tracking us and know that we're doing some bus renovations, and I wanted to show you our new bus. This is what MasterTech has done for us. They have converted our 35-foot vintage bus into a mid-90s Class C.
Amazing work.
You probably don't believe it, do you? Okay. We're in Alaska. This is the Cook Inlet. We're in Homer right now. And this is our rental RV that we picked up just last week. And we're exploring Alaska by rental RV while our bus is being renovated. Right now it's completely stripped of its paint. And in this video chat, we're going to be talking about renting an RV. We'll tell you a little bit about this one and why we rented it and this excursion up here in Alaska. But we're mainly going to focus on if renting an RV is the right decision for considering a full-time or even seasonal or part-time RVing lifestyle. We'll talk about the things that you can get out of renting an RV and the things that you just can't evaluate by renting. So this is RV. I'm going to give you a quick tour of it before we get started and start rambling on and stuff like that. So come around. It's a 21-footer. It's a Class C, which are built on a truck chassis, unlike a Class A, which is more like a bus, or a Class B, which is more like a van. So this is a Ford E350. This is a 1996. It's 21 foot. It's by Damon, and it's called the Ultra Sport. And the reason we picked this one is we wanted something that was older because we're not afraid of older to save some money. And we didn't want something that was branded with RV rental all over it that just, you know, would say that we're like newbies or something like that. Because, you know, after 9 years of full timing, we kind of know a little bit about what we're doing. So welcome to our home for this week. One reason we picked this particular one is we like that it had a lower bed, just in case. We've never done the Class C cab over bed before. We just didn't know if we would enjoy it or not. We wanted to try it, but we don't want to commit to it for the entire week. So this gives us a separate option for napping during the day, or if we're just not digging the whole climbing over each other all the time. We did that for 4 years in our first years of full-time RVing, so got a little bit old, but we're actually enjoying it quite a bit because look at this view. We've got 3 windows up here and lots of ventilation. So we've actually been enjoying sleeping up here and waking up to a gorgeous view. We got a nice waterfront spot, and that's what we're optimizing for. We've got a wonderful dinette. You'll learn later why we don't like dinettes. Not very comfortable. Got a full refrigerator and freezer, and a very spacious kitchen. No counter space whatsoever. We do have a microwave, propane stove, and cooktop. A little sink that's not quite big enough to actually wash any pots or pans. One of the trade-offs of an RV rental in a smaller space. We also have a bathroom with a shower, a little toilet, and a little tiny sink. All just a little too tiny to be usable on the long term. So we are currently at a full hookup campground with a shower house and are using those facilities mostly. So let's get to talking about RV rentals. Today is June 29th. It is 5 p.m. Alaskan time.
Alaskan daylight time, and it never sets here. The sun goes on forever.
Yes, this time of year it's been crazy with the non-stop 24-hour daylight. We are broadcasting from Homer, Alaska today, and from a rental RV. For our longtime viewers, you may recognize this is not the inside of our bus, or it might not be what the renovated version of our bus is going to look like soon. Today, these are our monthly live video chats. We do these about once a month. We pick a topic that we get lots of questions on, and we just address them because this is a great way to talk about a topic. If today is June 29th and you're watching this live, then you'll be able to interact with us and ask some questions. I've got the laptop over here so I can take your questions towards the end. We do ask that you hold them, otherwise they may get lost in as we're talking.
Yep. So yeah, those of you who are in the chat room. We're not watching the chat room. We don't have anybody who's here volunteering to watch the chat room. So if people start asking questions at the wrong time, just let them know. Hold them to the end when we're actually looking at the laptop, because otherwise we won't see it.
When we get to the last section, I'll actually ask you to start queuing up your questions. So if you would request if you do hold those. If you're joining us on the YouTube archive that we'll be putting out soon after, of course you can't interact with us live, but we do welcome you to leave comments and questions in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer those when we have a chance. So today's topic is
renting an RV. This is our first time together renting an RV, isn't it?
Right, it is. And we're going to specifically be talking about a question we get a lot when people are considering a full-time RVing lifestyle, or even a long-term RVing lifestyle, seasonal, or doing more than just a vacation, is should you rent an RV to see if the full-timing RV lifestyle is for you? And that's one of those questions of it depends. And I always have a hard time answering this question because it's not a straightforward yes or no question.
You really have to know what you're getting into and what you want to learn about through the rental experience, because a lot of people think this is going to be a taste of the full-timing lifestyle, and it is not. It is
a taste. It's not a full meal.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's barely a taste. If you do certain experiments, you could learn a lot. But you have to know the things you can learn and the things you can't even begin to learn.
I kind of equate it to, and that is renting an RV to see if you want a full-time RV is kind of like renting a motel room to see if you want to live in a condo. There's certain things you can learn, and there's a lot of things you can't learn from the experience. So we'll go over those. We'll kind of hit on both of those. We'll talk a little bit about how to rent an RV and things to look out for when you're renting an RV. And then we'll talk about this experience as well.
And how we went and did this very particular rental right here.
And the reason we wanted to address this topic in particular is we had some friends a few years ago who joined us at a festival, and they rented an RV for it, and they were considering full-time RVing, and their experience with it was not exactly ideal. And a lot of the things were specifically about the rental, not about RVing. And they had a hard time kind of separating the two. And they ultimately decided from that experience that full-timing probably wasn't going to be for them, which is unfortunate.
Basically ended the festival thinking like RVs are horrible. We'd much rather have a tent. This is like, why would we waste our money on this ever again? And we never want to live in something that's horrible. And just for them, a lot of that came down to they're staying at a festival with dry camping. They've got a rental RV that is designed to be plugged in 90% of the time, and it just didn't work out. They were trying to put the square peg in the round hole, and it was the wrong tool for the job. If it was their own RV that they'd been able to build for the lifestyle that they wanted, it could be very, very different.
Right. So we wanted to address this question. It's one that we've wanted to write up for a while. I just have lacked the time. So first we'll start off is what can you learn about full-time RVing by renting one? If you've never RV'd before or don't have much RVing experience, it can give you a really good taste of the lifestyle of what it is like to drive an RV. Whether you're getting a Class A, a big one, a Class C, a little one like ours, you can learn what it's like to drive one.
Yeah, so a lot of people, particularly people who've not, I guess, come from a big truck background, are very intimidated by driving an RV. And it's actually having your first experience be in somebody else's RV with insurance in place to cover you. It can be the reassurance you need to actually get comfortable behind the wheel of something big like this. So there's a good plus to that. Yes.
It can also give you the experience of what it's like to stay in campgrounds. It's not like going to a motel. The campgrounds are so varied. There's such a variety of them out there. So it does give you the experience of what it's like to stay in one, what it's like to have neighbors close by, what it's like to experience a variety of them. If you plan your trip, your rental RV trip out to experience like a commercial RV park and a state park and a national park, you just kind of get a feel for what the differences are. So you can get a kind of what's going to be more ideal for your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. The basics. It does give you some experience with the logistics of RVing, like the dreaded dumping the tanks.
Yeah, a lot of people who've never RV'd before get really freaked out, particularly, oh my God, the black tank, where's the poop go? And, the first time, it's kind of big and intimidating.
And the 50th time, it's kind of we all have that. Any RV will tell you the problems happen.
But it does get to be a no big deal. One of the actually we've seen people who rent an RV, they get so freaked out and nervous that first time they dump the tank, and particularly if they have any mishaps or something, that it scares them off entirely. And don't let it scare you off. Even if you have to ask a neighbor for help or advice and stuff, just take a deep breath. Not too deep of a breath right over the sewer, but take a deep breath. Take your time, figure it out, and just realize that like after you've done it a few times, it becomes no big deal. And if you have a longer RV rental, you'll get a sense for that too. But if you're just having that like just 3 or 4 day rental and you're now under time crunch,
and that's the thing. Some of the RV rental companies, and we'll talk about this at the end as well, they include dumping your tanks when you return. And I would actually recommend not taking that option. Get the experience of what it's like to dump your tanks, to manage your water, to know what it's like to live off a limited water supply. Because these are all kind of the realities that RVing involves. And if you really want a taste of it and what it's like, well, don't taste. Don't actually taste it. We're not recommending you go taste your sewer tank, but do experience what it's like to navigate both dumping your tanks at a full hookup spot as well as possibly using a dump station, which are 2 different experiences. And just get over that hump. Don't be afraid of it. So don't take the option to have someone handle it for you.
Right.
At least that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, no. I mean, particularly if you want to learn, go learn.
Right.
Just take your time.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
You can also learn a little bit about power management in a rental RV. You're probably not going to learn as much as you would want to. These RVs, they come with a very minimal battery setup. The one we're in doesn't even have an inverter in it. If you've never RV'd before, you may not know what I'm talking about or have any sense for how important that is in the RVing experience to...
And what a lot of people come live through with a rental RV is just they get so frustrated with the electrical system, particularly if they're trying to do anything away from being plugged into shore power. And that's because designing a good RV electrical system is something that very few manufacturers even do on higher end RVs. It's something that is often customized. And you could have great, wonderful electrical abundance, but it's complicated and it's tricky, and the rental RVs are designed to be as simple as possible, and they tend to be abused. People don't understand about taking care of the batteries, so they tend to have these batteries in rental RVs tend to have been through horrible abuse. They don't have great capacity left at all.
And they don't have any way to really monitor it, even if you did know what to look out for. If you're trying to learn about electrical systems in RVs, they're not going to have battery monitors that tell you much more than maybe, like this one, it kind of tells us if it's 9 volts or 12 volts. I'm like, how useful is that?
And it also then has a little sticker saying, battery condition meter reads 1 or 2 volts low.
Like,
that's the difference between full and empty, basically. So they're basically saying don't pay any attention to the battery condition meter. A lot of people in rental RVs, they use the lights. They tend not to have LED lights. They use the regular incandescent lights, leave them on all night. And at some point the lights start to get dim. If the lights are starting to get dim, that actually means the battery is dead and is being damaged at that point. And
as a renter, you don't care, but as someone who's evaluating a rental RV for potentially picking it up as part of your lifestyle, that can really influence you. Say, oh my gosh, RVs don't have...
I couldn't even get through one night and the lights were going dim and the electrical was off and I tried to plug in my laptop to watch a movie and it didn't work and it was so frustrating. I mean, we've heard that. And people get so turned off just from that bad electrical experience. So be careful there.
Yeah, so that's one of the experiences to take away, and we'll go over that probably some more with things you can't learn, and that's energy management. So it's very different in a rental RV. We're finding it very frustrating in this RV. We actually had to go for hookups just because we forgot how basic a rental RV electrical system is and how basic they are coming off the line, even in one you buy, versus one that we designed from the ground up ourselves. And
it did remind us also that just how unpleasant it is to be inside something with the generator running. This has got a relatively quiet generator. You just press a button and suddenly you got power. And it's fine to run it for 10 minutes to cook something in the microwave, but if you want to run it for 2 hours to charge your laptop, by the end of that 2 hours, we had headaches. I mean, it was just really unpleasant.
Renting an RV can give you some experience of what type of RV might be better for you. So a Class C, a Class A, a towable, like a fifth wheel or a trailer, which you'll find those are less common to rent, unfortunately, the towables. But you will get some experience with slides, with layouts, what works and what doesn't work for you. So you can get some experience with, do you want a crawl over bed? Is that sustainable for your lifestyle? Or do you want a walk around bed? You're not going to, however, get the experience of what it's like if you're trying to set up an office space. You're probably not going to find an RV rental that has a good office space set up.
Most RV rentals are designed to cram as many bodies into as many sleeping areas as possible, whether or not they're comfortable.
Right. And a lot of the RV rental fleets, they're going to go with some basic layouts. They're not going to get crazy with some of the more innovative things like toy haulers, where you might be able to either carry along an ATV or set up an office space in the back. They're not going to have things like a dinette table or a table with chairs.
Yes.
They're going to probably opt for a dinette like what we're sitting on, which are incredibly uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, I forgot how uncomfortable a dinette was.
Yes.
Because they can be a convertible sleeping space, and that allows them to sell the RV to a larger family.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it sleeps 6 or it sleeps 8. Well,
sleep being a relative term.
Yes.
But you can learn a bit about some layout options. You can feel what a small bathroom is. Like if we were using this bathroom in this small RV, we would say, oh my gosh, RVing is not for us. Or we'd say we really need to optimize on a larger shower that Chris could actually fit in.
Yeah, this shower is unpleasant to use, whereas the shower in our bus is nice as any house. And it's that sort of difference over the course of a weekend or a week rental is hardly a big deal. You can still get clean, you can still have a nice shower in this little thing. But over trying to make it your full-time life, you're actually learning the wrong lesson here. You're thinking, oh my God, RV showers are horrible. Well, no, they don't have to be.
Right. So if you go and rent one, just keep those things in mind, that there's a lot of variability in RVs, and the ones that go into rental fleets are not necessarily the kind that you're going to be shopping for for full timing. Right. So there is a big difference. So there's like, again, it's like renting a motel room to experience if you want a condo. And
in particular, it's often more like renting a cheap motel room. It's, a lot of the rentals, they're not, I don't even know of any places that do kind of high-end.
Oh, they do. There are some of the regional ones that do some higher-end ones that actually set them up for you at a campsite, and it's more of a concierge service sort of thing. You probably, if they're setting up everything for you too much in advance,
then you're not going to learn anything either.
Yeah. There are things you can learn. There are good things about renting an RV if you're so unsure if RVing is for you, but we're going to go over some of the things to keep in mind now of what you can't learn from renting an RV. And the number one top thing is living in it versus traveling or vacationing or camping in it. When you're renting an RV, it's probably going to be for a long weekend, a week, maybe if you can afford it, a couple weeks at a time. And
I would suggest, actually, if you really want to audition full-timing, do it. Try to go for 2 weeks. I mean, even just break that 1 week cycle so you can really get a longer-term experience.
Like 3 or 4 days. Anything new can be fun for 3 or 4 days if you look at it that way. Well, maybe not anything, but the experience of just the newness of being out at an RV, you're going to be so like, oh my gosh, we're out in nature, we're sleeping or camping. That camping experience is fun, but after a few days of sleeping on a crawl over bed, you might not realize how difficult it is.
And when you're on a 3 or 4 day or doing the long weekend rental, you're never out of your suitcase. You never unpack. Once you get to a week or especially 2 weeks, that's your excuse to unpack, move in, actually use the drawers, put your luggage away, and that starts to get into a little bit of the rhythm of living there. Particularly if you get to the phase of like, you got to go do laundry, you got to do a second grocery stock.
You got to do more than one dumping of the tanks.
Yeah.
You got to maybe try out different styles of RVing. So maybe you stay at a commercial campground in a big city, then you go try a state park, try some boondocking, just try some different varieties of all these styles of RVing that you hear us vloggers and YouTube people talk about. Try some of them out. Give yourself the opportunity to try different situations so you get some of a survey of what's going on out there. Maybe a cross-country trip to go see, if you got a wedding or a class reunion you have to do. Maybe try a cross-country trip in one so you get the experience of navigating an RV down the road. There's a lot you can learn by just renting it and going out to your local park, but there's a lot you're going to be missing out on by not doing more of an extended trip. Also keep in mind when you're renting an RV, none of the stuff that comes with the RV is your stuff. Most of them are going to come pre-stocked with pots and pans and linens and things like that. I like nice soft sheets. I like my pillows firm. I like a memory foam mattress. I'm not going to get that in a rental RV, and that's going to impact the way that I experience an RV rental.
Yeah, and you'll have completely random stuff in the kitchen. It seems like rental RVs just come with often very mismatch of You know, this is what they can throw together to give you the bare basics for cooking, and that's going to affect your impact. You're going to have this like, God, this kitchen is just so uncomfortable and awkward, as opposed to once you've lived in something for a while, oh, you've got the right stuff, you know where it all is, everything's organized. It's a completely different experience.
So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, the layout options that you might have when in a rental RV, because a bigger rental company, they're going to buy a fleet of RVs, and for simplicity in maintaining them, they're only going to pick maybe 3 or 4 layouts that they offer, so that they have a stock thing. When the handles fall off a drawer, they have those things in stock to fix it. So they're not going to have a lot of options. You might have the option with the dinette and the couch and the slide out in the bedroom, but you might be personally interested in a slide out in the living room, and the rental company might not have those options available for you to try out. And we can say, from having lived in multiple RVs and having visited with lots of our RVing friends in their spaces, there is a huge difference in just what a layout can make. Where the slides are, or a space that's designed without slides, can be very efficient and really well done. And you're not going to just renting once and you go say, oh, well, all RVs are awful because the living room's too small. Well, that just means you need to go look at different layout options when you're shopping. So keep that in mind, that your options for renting are not going to be nearly as wide as the options that are out there on the market for buying.
Now, one other thing you're not going to learn is you might get a little bit comfortable driving something like this, but you're never going to, in a 1 week or even maybe even a 2 week rental, you're not going to get totally comfortable driving any given RV, just because it takes time to learn the blind spots, get used to the turning radius, everything else. So you'll still have that experience of being on pins and needles in traffic in particular, or trying to back into a tight spot. And if you start to think, well, it'll always be like this, I'll be so stressed, I'll be such a stress ball driving, I don't want that in my life. Well, once you've actually owned an RV for a while and lived with it and driven it, you're like, oh, I know my turning radius, I know how to back up. That becomes not always easy and stress-free, but it becomes a lot less of an issue, and you won't get that from just a week-long rental.
And also keep in mind that a rental RV, they're not going to put the best stuff on them. They're going to take whatever they can get cheapest from the manufacturer and maintain. They're not necessarily going to go for a really nice, soft suspension or some of the add-ons that can make a suspension better. So like we're driving this little rental around and it's like shaking and rattling everywhere. Whereas on our bus, we've got a nice air suspension. We've optimized everything inside so it makes minimal amount of noise when we're going down the road. And it's like just listening to the topper on the oven stovetop here as we're going over like potholes and things. It was like nerve-wracking.
It sounds like somebody's in the back with a tambourine as we're going down the road, and that doesn't have to be that way.
So a rental is not going to be the best quality of build. It's not going to be the best quality of equipment or the stuff they stock in it. So don't take the rental experience as being what all RVs are like. Make sure you follow up with going and touring a lot so you get a feel for the quality standards that there are out there. And keep in mind, when you're renting an RV, you're renting a recreational vehicle, not a potential home on wheels. And there is a difference in the construction between those that are more designed for long-term RVing versus recreational vehicle or camping. So we touched a little bit on the batteries and electrical systems are not going to be optimized. A lot of them don't even come with inverters. An inverter is what takes your battery power and convert it to 110 so that you can use things like a hairdryer, appliances in the kitchen, charging laptops if you don't have 12 volts sort of stuff. So if you're not running the generator on a rental RV, more than likely you're not going to have power to the outlets other than 12 volt. And they're not going to be in places that are useful. Okay. We have MacBook Pros, okay? This is the charger that has to go in there. There is only one electrical outlet in this entire RV that is not in the ceiling. This isn't going to stick in the ceiling. I have to charge my laptop in the bathroom.
Yes.
Not fun.
Yeah.
These are things we built into RV to have electrical outlets where we want them. And that's the things that you can do in your own RV that you're not going to have the experience of in a rental.
Yeah, I think they would probably object if I started doing random upgrades.
I would object. This is a 7-day vacation.
There's a hardware store just down the road. I could get some wire and.
Also, your rental RV is probably not going to come out with things like an awning that can help with shading. It can help with heat dissipation. and things like that, because they don't put awnings on there because most people don't know how to use them and they get broken very easily.
Yes.
So a lot of the rental RV companies, they just don't provide them.
They often also don't provide outdoor furniture too. So
some of them have it optional to rent a package for outdoor furniture. And there's those little things that make the experience of RVing so much more living, is being able to create a nice outdoor patio space.
Yeah. And another thing also that you won't get in a rental RV unless you do caravan style is you won't have the experience of traveling with a towed. I don't think any rental RV places, and you wouldn't have your car set up to be towed behind the RV. So you go to these interesting places and suddenly you're at a campground, you get all set up and you're like, hey, let's go out to dinner.
Oh, we have to break camp. There's a reason a lot of us RVers choose to have a tow behind vehicle, or we tow our home with a truck and leave the home behind, so that we have local transport. We get someplace, we use it as a home base, and then we have transportation around. When you're renting an RV, more than likely you're not going to have that setup. Now, I did read some rental companies for an extra charge will allow you to tow a vehicle behind if you're already, but you have to already be set up for it. That's a couple $1,000, you know, conversion to get a vehicle set up to be towed behind.
And
so
it becomes very amusing to watch the people who don't have tows and are trying to go out and do touristy things or go out to dinner, because you see them kind of do this little clown car routine of, oh, got to pull in the hose, unplug this, plug this in, set this stuff, move all your lawn furniture to the side, they pile in the car, they drive off, and then they're back in an hour and they do it all again and get set up, and then they're going to go out and do something else. And you just watch them and how much of their day they waste setting up, tearing down, setting up, tearing down, and that will give you a very bad experience in a rental, unless you keep that in mind.
Yes. Or pick places to go that things are in walking distance. We picked this campground because we have a great view out our window of mountains and water, and we're in walking distance to several restaurants, to a grocery store. So everything we need to feel comfortable here and to feel that we're exploring the area is in walking distance, so we're not having to break camp all the time.
Yep.
Because we know what a pain in the butt that is.
Yep.
I think that covers the can't learns.
Yeah, those are the things you
the
can
big
learn.
ones.
Just keep in mind, you're not gonna, there's a lot of things you're not going to learn.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to go about renting an RV. There's several options out there. There's the big RV rental companies. You've probably seen them driving down the road. You're driving down the road and you see little kids looking out the window waving at you, and you realize they're not moving. That would be Cruise America. They're probably one of the probably the biggest rental company out there. You do not miss them on the road. They are so branded.
Hideous. I have to say it. They're hideous.
They got scenic pictures on the outside.
Oh God, they're embarrassingly ugly. I'm just personal opinion. I would not be caught dead in one of those.
I think you maybe. There's other ones out there. El Monte. There's ABC. Some of them have less branding on them. And depending upon how comfortable you are being branded as renting an RV, choose your comfort level there. These are the bigger rental companies. They're nationwide. They're probably going to have options where you can pick up in one city, drop off in another.
Yes, that's a big plus.
They may have even specials for it if they need to reposition their fleet, if you shop on the shoulder seasons or off season between big locations. So like if they're switching from the winter season, summer season up north, and they need to get their fleet down south. They may actually, we've heard of some people be able to rent for very cheap.
And they've got a 2-week window to get from place A to place B.
So if you shop it that way, that can be a great deal. It gets you the on-the-road experience of doing a one-way rental. Their fleets are also going to be larger. They're going to have probably more options and more availability in locations. It also means if you have a problem with the RV, there's a mechanical problem, they can likely bring you out a replacement RV instead of having to have it repaired and interrupting your trip. That's some of the features that they have. They're probably, if you're not shopping their off-shoulder seasonal repositioning prices, they're probably going to be more on the pricey side. Like up here in Alaska, a lot of these companies are offering rentals in the $250 to $350 per night range. It gets pricey. It's very pricey to rent an RV, so choose wisely. But this is their business. They have business procedures in place. They have the insurance thing. They have you covered. They're very clear about what you're covered for insurance-wise and what you're not. They usually have better linen packages, better pots and pan packages, because they standardize all these things. They know how to process a rental. They know what problems you're likely to encounter and how to prep you best. They're probably going to come with some sort of manual of some sort of what to do with the RV. Because they have a standardized fleet, they can tell you more about the specific RV that you're renting when you do your pre-inspection pickup.
Yeah.
There's
then
also
you've got the smaller ones. Yeah,
there's
a lot of smaller ones.
A lot of regional companies will have a smaller companies that might have a smaller fleet of RVs, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 RVs that they rent out.
And these also tend to be older, more used, more broken in RVs. A lot of them were kind of on their second life in a sense, which brings the cost way down.
Yeah. So the one we're renting is from one of these smaller organizations. It's a small family company up here in Alaska called Alaska Family Motorhomes that we rented from. It's a 1996, so we're comfortable with older. We knew we didn't want a newer branded one. In fact, this one has no branding, no markings whatsoever that it's a rental, which is something we wanted because we know how full-timers laugh at rental RVs and campgrounds. Okay, we laugh.
Yeah.
We don't.
Well, we like to take pictures of our camper. We don't want to take pictures of...
We don't want every picture we take to be marketing for the company that we rented from.
Yes.
A smaller company is more likely to be flexible and easier to, maybe there could be less corporate, less policy driven.
So, for example, this one, they let us stay in the RV the night before the rental technically began.
Our rental officially started last Friday morning, and we got into town on Thursday evening, and they said, oh, well, we have it in stock. We'll just get you into that evening, no extra cost. They actually even picked us up at the train station and got us set up that evening and on our way. So
that saved us a night of a hotel.
Yep, and it made it super convenient. We didn't have to worry about taxis to get to it or walking 6 miles with our backpacks to go pick up our RV. So I was reading on some of the other larger corporate ones up here in Alaska. They don't pick you up. You have to get to the station. They have no flexibility. If you want it a night early, well, you pay for an extra day of rental to get that. So there's some of those things to consider. But it is an older fleet. I mean, we're taking the risk that if this one breaks down while they're on the road, which is a pretty good possibility of an older RV.
They are providing AAA.
They are providing AAA service. So if something happens, they do have roadside assistance. But if it's something that can't be repaired on the side of the road, they don't have a replacement one ready to go to bring us out. It would be a trip interruption for us. And they do say that they will reimburse us for those days, but they're not going to reimburse us all the expenses it took us to get up here to get this RV. So, there's risk in that. And it's how much do you want? We're flexible. We knew that this was kind of an optional fun thing to do. We were willing to take that risk and save the money. We're paying, it was $130 a day to rent this versus what a similar one in other companies was going for $250 plus. So we saved a good bit of money by going older, and it was a risk we were willing to take. You can also rent through individuals. There's some new services out there.
Well, and also some dealers also act as, have a certain number of their RVs set aside too. So they're very small rental fleets too.
Individuals, there's some new services out there that are kind of like, if you're familiar with Airbnb, where you can rent people's spare rooms and, their spare houses or something like that. There's some companies that are reaching out to RV owners who are part-time RVers or vacationers and renting their RVs out to individuals. RV Share and Outdoorsy are two that we've heard from. And we actually found our small family rental company on RV Share.
Yeah, so actually quite a few of the listings on RV Share are actually dealers or small shops that are just putting their inventory out there trying to use it as a marketing venue. So
so these companies, they're eventually will be taking fees when a listing is made. So that's how they'll be compensated. But they have the listings on there. We found RV Share a little difficult to use, honestly. This company had it listed at $90 a night, and when we contacted them, they said, oh no, it's $130 for summer season. It's like, oh, so they don't have features built in yet to list different prices. We did talk with the owners of RV Share, and they said there's a lot of stuff coming out to make this easier. But yeah, just be careful. It's very much a buyer beware sort of thing. You're not renting through Outdoorsy or RV Share.
They're just the middleman.
They're just the middleman. It's like going through Craigslist or anything else like that. Where you're going to have to vet who you're renting from and if you trust them or not.
Trust your gut. Look into reviews. And then have a conversation. If you get a good vibe, go with it. If you get a weird vibe, run. I mean, don't keep going just to save an extra $10 or $20.
Another thing to consider is when you're renting from an individual or even some of the smaller companies is be sure to question them about the insurance. Your company may or may not cover you when you're renting an RV. Our RV insurance company said that if the RV was under 10,000 pounds, that we would be covered. This is only weighs 7,000, so we are covered by our company, but we also took an optional rider on our rental to be added to the owner's policy. because we prefer to run it through theirs instead of ours if there was a problem. But we do know that we have a backup insurance if something happened. A lot of the bigger companies, they have this stuff figured out. They've got specific corporate policies that do cover their rentals, and your rental price includes some level of insurance, and you can pay more for even higher level of insurance without deductibles. So make sure you understand that, especially if you're renting from an individual. They may not have even thought about it. Like there was one time we borrowed an RV from a friend in between getting the bus and selling the Oliver many years ago. And, we were covered if he was just loaning it to us, but if he was renting it to us,
it was not covered.
It would not, because that's a business transaction. He's turned it now into business, and he has a personal policy. So be very clear on what you're doing if you're going with an individual or borrowing from a friend or a family member, which is another option.
Make sure you understand the rules.
Another option is, instead of, a rental, when you add up the cost of like doing a 2 or 3 week rental, you're now talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to rent an RV just to see if you might like it. It may actually be cheaper just to buy a beater RV and get out there and abuse the heck out of it and learn on it. Be kind of a learner RV.
Yeah, you can actually do several trips that way, make a few customizations. You don't care if you paint the walls and stuff like that. You're not going to invest in major upgrades like solar or an inverter or stuff like that, but you can have a chance to get much more comfortable with an old beater. And just kind of think of it as almost disposable. You probably can sell it when you're done. We've actually known people who've ended up making a profit on these old beater RVs. They find them on Craigslist. They do a summer's worth of trips. They've cleaned them up. They've improved them just a little bit. At the end of the trip, they sell it off, and because they've got great pictures, they've got a little bit of mechanical history now, it sells for more than they paid for it. So,
or they put it, they go list it on RV Share or Outdoorsy and rent it out. So there are other ways about it than going and renting an RV, and just because you're basically paying someone else's RV expenses when you do that. So there are other ways if you're willing to, if you're a little more do it yourself, adventurous. And you know what, adventurous is a great trait for an RVer. Telling you, learning how to maintain your own RV on something that you don't have a big investment in, and learning what some of the trials and tribulations can be. Not a bad idea.
That is if you really are looking to go full time and down the road and stuff, and you want to have the RV as your home, having a beater that you learn on, you're going to learn a lot more than you would in a rental.
So when you're looking at the rentals, make sure you read the fine print. Know what's included and what's not. I just went through the other evening and looked at all the Alaska ones again to prepare for this talk, and I was amazed at the variety of things that are included or not. Some companies included pots and pans and linens. Some rented them to you at $100 extra. Some required that you fully clean the RV before you turn it in. Some say, hey, we want you to enjoy your vacation. Bring it back with the tanks full and everything else, and we'll take care of everything for you. Some included patio furniture. Some don't include anything at all. So and
then there's also the restrictions on some will have restrictions on where you can drive. Like this road is off limits, or dirt roads are off limits, or certain types of conditions are off limits. And so know what those are, particularly if you're planning a specific trip. If it turns out the road between A and B is, you're forbidden, well, you need to know that in advance.
If you're planning an epic road trip and you've heard about this great drive that might be a super scary road, well, the RV company may say, no, we're not letting RV newbie drivers take our, big rig that they've never driven before over a mountain road with big steep cutoffs.
And in Alaska, there's often actually lists of roads that these roads are forbidden from the rental companies. So be aware.
Off-roading, if you can even take it down dirt roads. Some had restrictions on that. If you can take it into Canada or Mexico.
That's usually hardly ever allowed, I think. For
rentals. So make sure you know if you can take it across borders, because that might impact your choice of your trip that you're planning.
Right.
Know your insurance. We're going to talk a little bit about the rental that we have, kind of go over why we picked this and stuff like that. But after that, we'll be opening this up for questions and answers. So if you've got questions, please go ahead and start queuing those up. There is a chat box. If you're on the browser version, it'll be to the right of the video, and it'll say chat with 115 people right now.
Wow.
Hi. You can just type in there and chat, put your question in there. Don't put it in any of the chat boxes or the comment boxes underneath. We won't see those. If you're on an app, I think there's a little chat button that you can use. So go ahead and start queuing up those questions, and we'll field those over here in just a moment. But this one, like I said, we picked it up We were looking at all of the RV rental companies around here. For a little background, if you're not following us personally, we normally drive a 35-foot vintage bus.
1961 GM 4106.
That is our full-time home on wheels and has been for the last 4 years. And this summer we're having it completely renovated in Elkhart, Indiana. And so it's just got stripped down to the metal for repainting.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing many other upgrades, hydronic heaters and new windows all around, and it's a huge list of upgrades. So go back and check technomadia.com and you can see all about that.
We decided we've had enough of living in shops with our bus, and we were treating ourselves to hiring someone to do all of the work. Well, we go off on an alternate vacation. We like to shake it up. We're not just RVers. We're nomads at heart.
Yep.
So we decided, since a lot of our RVing, since going to Alaska was one of our potential summer adventures, we decided just to come up to Alaska anyway, but we did it alternatively. So we came up took train across country, did a one-way cruise ship up.
Took the train up to Fairbanks.
Met up with a bunch of our RVing friends last week. Mm-hmm. And then we came back to Anchorage last week, and we wanted to experience RVing in Alaska. So we rented an RV for a week. So that's where we're at, sitting in our rental.
Yep, halfway through our rental week. More than, yeah.
Yes, so we decided, because we knew Alaska, we'd have more options. The smaller we went, we wanted to be maneuverable. We knew we weren't going to be having a tow-behind vehicle with us, so it would also be our transportation. So we wanted to be able to park in grocery stores and things like that. So we wanted as small as possible. By the time we got around to planning this vacation, a lot of the bigger companies, all the smaller ones were taken. It was 30-foot or above to rent, and we're like, no way do we want a 30-foot rental.
We don't want the price or the size, either way.
And they were all priced in the upper 200s to 300s per day to rent. And so I just went on RVshare.com, which I had heard a couple things about. I just started searching around and came across, I put out inquiries to about 20 different units and only heard back on one, because it turned out not everyone on RVshare is active. And it turned out to be Alaska Family Motorhomes. Mm-hmm. And they have a fleet, I think they have about 15 RVs, and they're all older units. I think this is one of their older ones. They had some that were 5 to 10 years newer.
This is one of their smallest ones, too.
But this is the smallest one, and it had the lower bed. So that's one thing that we wanted. And it was, his rate for June was $130 per day. And then we added on the insurance rider, pots and pans and linens. Not just the linens, I think they charged $50 for. And then plus you added in the Alaskan taxes and things like that. I think it came out to $178 per day total, because the July rates were a little bit higher. That's prime season here in Alaska. Yep. So it's a lot cheaper than going with a brand new rental for one of the big companies that would be branded. And to us, it was a huge benefit that there was stepping on the outside.
Yes, and it's more our style. And this has actually been a lot of fun to experience being in a small Class C like this, because we've gotten used to being in a big 35-foot bus. It's nice to be smaller and more maneuverable. You know, this is not a space that we would want to live in long term, but we're like, this would be if we had one of these as a beater RV up in Alaska for future trips, that could be interesting. We've learned a lot just about Class C camping.
Yeah, neither of us had ever camped or traveled in a Class C, so that was an interesting new experiment for us to get some more experience under our belts. Because we've always done small travel trailers. If you've been following a while, we started in a 16-foot tab teardrop style camper. We did a year in that. Then we did a 17-foot fiberglass egg by Oliver, kind of like the Casita or Scamp. And those were our first 4 years on the road. And then we switched to the large bus. So going back small was fun. We were both looking forward to that. And it's been a really good experience. It has been very maneuverable so far. We've gotten here. We've picked it up in Anchorage. We're now in Homer, Alaska. And it's been a very fun experience. A lot of the things that we're running into is the, inverter. The batteries just aren't up to snuff for the way we're spoiled. Yeah. With a lot of the upgrades that we've done with our own bus.
There's not a single solar panel on this thing. I mean, jeez. The sun never sets here, and there's no solar panels on our.
Also working on this stupid dinettes. I think we're about both over the dinette.
I need a massage or a hot tub so badly. My back is dying here.
Yeah, so it's been really tough. We've been trying to get in some work hours and stuff and get caught up after other excursions, and it's been really difficult to keep motivated to keep sitting here in this dinette. There's no chairs or anything like that. It's been raining nonstop outside, so we really can't go outside and work. So it's sitting up in bed and the stupid dinette. Have I mentioned it's a stupid dinette?
Yeah, but we do actually have discovered we really like the upper, the penthouse bed with the windows on all sides.
Yeah,
it's
but
really
I don't
pleasant
like
to
the
look up
crawling.
there.
We did 4 years of crawling
Yeah,
over. That was
exactly.
really fun when we were first dating to crawl over each other.
And when you're up in a penthouse bed, you have to, it becomes much more of an effort to make late night bathroom runs because so it encourages you to drink less, I guess.
So
Or
yeah,
squeeze more.
it's been a good experience.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Don't regret it at all. And I could see having a Class C at some point if we just wanted to do more of this remote stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to check the questions, see what people have asked. Feel free to ask questions. Why am I not having any questions?
Let me double check up here just in case there's something wrong with that. I see questions coming on up here, so...
Okay, so I'll go and ask one. I'm going to start.
Okay.
This one seems to have completely paused.
Have you had to have the generator on frequently to keep the heater on for warmth in Alaska? So this rental has a propane furnace. We have not needed to run it yet.
And it's not been cold. I mean, this is the first day we've had to wear a sweater. It's been actually too hot.
Yeah,
here
we
in
haven't needed
Alaska.
the air conditioning in this one either. But actually, the temperatures have been overall very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most rental RVs will have a propane furnace. Most everything is designed for propane. They'll have a propane fridge. And in this case, the main reason for the generator is if we needed the air conditioner, we need the microwave, or it's really frustrating to have to run a generator that's putting out 3,000 watts of power and burning all that fuel and making all that noise when all we need is 100 watts of laptop charging capability. But there's no other way to generate power when we're away from the poles. So that's been our main use of the generator is charging our laptops and a little bit of microwave use.
Okay, so...
You got the questions up here?
Well, some of them. I'm not seeing... okay, so I'm just going to start back with if your question came before the ones I'm reading, then I'm not seeing them here. So please do question them again. I had to reload everything here. The campground Wi-Fi went down. Isn't that special?
Yes.
Celtic Amethyst Rose asks, since you are in a Class C right now, would you say an RV like that would work well for a single person with pets?
Potentially, actually, a Class C I think is a really awesome design for a single person, a smaller Class C.
Yeah, it gives you the safety of you can drive away if you're in a situation that you might not be comfortable with. You don't have to get out, and hook up or anything like that. They're easy to drive. They're more like driving a truck than they are driving a huge bus or something like that. And yeah, pets could totally work in here.
Yeah, I think small Class Cs are actually one of the best designs for a single person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Sarah asks, how long were we doing this full time before we knew what adaptations you needed to make? I think you were adapting your first RV within the day you got it.
Oh, actually, no. I kind of, just me, I started with the adaptions I wanted to make and then tried to find an RV to fit them. And I did this all in a very short span of time, way back when I first hit the road. But for me, part of the joy of going RVing is the tweaking and the customizing and stuff like that. So, for other people, I'd suggest learn on a beater RV. Make some really crude modifications and stuff like that, and or just take your time. Think things through, get a sense for what you want. Learn what you want to either do yourself or pay people to do, and. Actually, that's a lot of how our projects have been very gradual over time. We spread them out, except for this summer. We're doing a lot all at once.
Yes. Casey says there's nothing wrong with living in shops.
Our friend Casey has been living so long in one particular RV shop that... I think he spent more time living in shops than living in his RV. So, Casey, you are a special snowflake and an exception to all the rules.
And we appreciate that you're living in our shop and are keeping an eye on things for us. So thank you, Casey.
Casey is awesome. And when he finally finishes his
the
rig,
most awesome RV on the planet.
In 2020, I believe, is his new target launch date. It will be amazing.
Okay. V asked, what would you suggest I bring along in a rental? Anything I probably need that isn't provided. So unlike a hotel, it's not going to provide any toiletries. So make sure you bring along soaps and toothpaste and all that, the standard stuff. Of course, all your food, you want to bring that along. One thing that we found annoying getting into this RV was there was none of the spices and oils and the basic things that I didn't want to go buy a bunch of stuff just for a week. I didn't want to go buy a thing of garlic.
Yes.
You know, luckily there was an old bottle of oil in there that didn't seem too rancid.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I miss like having my knives.
Yeah. Oh, this has got horrible knives on board. One thing that I think I would recommend somebody bring along when you're renting an RV is a small extension cord. That way you can deal with strange plugs in strange places and just, you know, put the power outlet where you actually need it. That would have been a small thing to pack that probably would have been worth it no matter what kind of rental you end up with.
I think having a small extension cord would have helped a lot in our train travels as well. Because we found we had a lot of problems with like only one plug in our roomette and things like that. It would have helped in general. I think we should have picked one up. Yeah,
actually, carry a small extension cord instead of a towel. Extension cords are useful.
Let's see, what else would we have wished to be in here? I mean, we had a linen package, but if I had the choice of having my own pillow, I probably would have brought that along.
Oh, the other thing I think is essential to bring is like a 12-volt to USB charger. So that way you could charge up your gadgets while you're driving and underway and get a lot of your basic charging done before you get to the campsite and suddenly realize your iPad's dead and you have to run a generator just to charge an iPad. You can even get a small little 12-volt inverter that you can plug in to the dash that will drain your batteries of these small little dinky rental RV batteries really quickly if you run them while you're not underway. But if you charge your laptops while underway, that's also another good thing to do. And you can get really tiny, the size of a fist, small little inverters that'll charge a laptop off of the cigarette lighter jack.
Yeah, that's something I wish we had brought.
Yeah, I wish I'd saved some space and brought that along too.
Do rental RV companies have restrictions about smoking in the unit? Thankfully, yes.
I haven't seen
I haven't seen a single RV company that allows smoking in them or pets. So that was another question that was listed on there.
I think I've seen a few that actually have special pet units.
Maybe so.
Yeah, but definitely that is going to be, if you're a smoker or a pet owner, you're going to have to do a lot of extra hunting. Probably find the smaller little mom and pop RV places that have the old rigs, and
even this one had rules against pets and smoking, which is one reason we went with them. Not the pets so much, but we're both very allergic. So, but yeah, because but I could see there might be a market out there for smoking units because there are people. There is a market for that. Let's see. Jerry says he rented an RV, went to a motorhome for a month in New Zealand. It was a totally different experience. So he recommends renting a motorhome in the country you live in, or at least the country you plan to RV in. I think would be a good thing, so you know the road rules and the ways you navigate around that. We have a question. What is hydronic heat? So one of the upgrades that we're doing in the bus is we're putting in hydronic.
If you think of it kind of, so hydronic is basically hot water. So a hydronic heating system, the diesel ones are called aqua-hots or Webasto. The one we're getting is a propane-powered hydronic system from Precision Temp. It's the Precision Temp Twin Temp. It has a boiler that heats up the hot water. Well, actually, it's a coolant, like a radiator coolant fluid. It also heats our hot water too, so it becomes our room heater as well as our hot water heater. But that coolant then goes through a loop with a pump and goes to little heat exchangers, tiny little radiators that'll be under the baseboards. So under our kitchen counter, under our bathroom counter, and then there's small little fans that blow air across fins with that hot water inside, so it blows a nice, quiet, warm air. Everybody who has a hydronic heating systems tend to love it.
Yeah, it gives you it's the really nice heating. This one we went with this because it's very quiet.
Yeah, hydronic systems tend to be very quiet overall. They don't have that big propane whoosh and burners and a giant fan blowing as much hot air through lots of ducts. Hydronic is a good way to go. Some hydronic systems, they actually, if you're doing a full renovation, they will coil the hot water lines under the floor so the floor actually gets warm, and radiant floor heat is wonderful. We're not getting that. We're getting blowers. But hydronic is just basically hot water heating.
that you use for your space heating.
Yes.
Okay, no gas asks, now that you've done a Class C in Alaska, will you take the bus next time or save the fuel and time and do the Class C again?
That's a tough call.
It's a tough call. I mean, we definitely, in Alaska, smaller is better.
Yeah.
There are more options being smaller.
But we also horribly miss being in our own house, our own bed, with our cat and stuff like that, too. So it's a tough call.
It's been the right choice for this experience. Yeah. But I also know I'm going to be hesitant after just freshly painting the bus and going through all these renovations to take it to something, do the ride up here or other places for a while until we get some battle scars.
And on the other hand, also, being here for just a week in a rental RV in Alaska is a very cruel tease. I mean, this is a state that you could easily spend an entire season in and barely scratch the surface. So, but renting an RV for months on end in Alaska
but if we did that, we'd probably go buy a Class C, bring it up, and do some of the modifications to it. But that's an investment in time and prepping that RV to come up here. So it would be a tough call to be determined on that one.
Exactly.
What are we using to broadcast this live stream? So we are using a software called Livestream. That's what you're viewing it on. And we're broadcasting it over AT&T, which is the king in Alaska, over LTE. So we have an unlimited data plan on our iPad that allows us to do these broadcasts.
AT&T by far is the carrier to have in Alaska. No doubt.
Richard says, we'd love to know about the electrical system in your bus. We just went full-time in a 40-foot 4 travel. The entire electrical system is detailed on technomadia.com.
/solar and /lithium.
Yeah, that'll combine. The lithium is the electrical system, also goes over the batteries, and also goes over the inverter is included in that, and then the solar will give you both, actually. Give links to both, and you can read more about the solar setup and the electrical and the process and what we've done with that. So it's a place to go. We have done live chats also on the solar and on the lithium, and those are both linked on those pages as well if you want to view the past chats specific on those topics. Too big of a topic to cover in Q&A.
It's too long topic.
James asked, would we consider a Class B? So a Class B, for those, is more like a van conversion. So it'd be taking a smaller van and converting it to a living space.
And there's what's called a B+, which are like supersized vans that get almost into Class C territory. And there's some really neat ones. For doing like a long distance, like constantly on the road trip, a B would be pretty darn cool. Some of them are very fuel efficient. The ones built on the Mercedes Sprinter designs are very, very fuel efficient.
We've done our small vehicle time.
We like having our big house.
It's
relatively big.
The small spaces were really great. I mean, you can go places you can't go in a larger vehicle, and it was a great experience. But the compromises in space, particularly for us, office space, comfortable working, ergonomic space, because we are still working on the road and we sit at our desks a lot. You can't get that in the Class B, and you're compromising. For two people, you're having crawl over bed. We did 4 years of that. I like having a nice big shower. I don't like not having to go use public facilities for the restroom.
Class B is going to have small tanks. It's going to be very limited in certain things.
I totally respect, and I think they're really cool and some awesome setups out there. It's just we wanted more of, when we were ready to move up from the smaller setups, we wanted to make it sustainable for us long term and enjoyable. We wanted something that was more like a small apartment on wheels. And that's the route we went. So I could see for short term excursions doing a Class B could be fun.
A month at a time, I think, would be a real blast.
Maybe. But I really like the comforts of having more space in a home and having it feel homey.
Yep.
So James M. asks, what have you seen in the fifth wheel rental market? What have I seen is expensive and geared towards the weekend events. I honestly haven't shopped the fifth wheel rental market because we don't have a vehicle that could tow one.
Right. And indeed, fifth wheel rentals, the ones I've seen tend to be, they'll deliver them and set them up for you, because that way they're basically just providing sleeping accommodations at a festival or something like that. So I've actually never even run across, except maybe on RV Share, fifth wheels that you can rent and tow yourself.
It's difficult because you have to be able to prove you have a truck capable of handling the size of fifth wheel that you're renting that's being offered. Right. And so I could see where the total. And I have rented before, but long before I knew Chris, I did rent a pop-up camper to tow with our minivan that my ex had, and we found that from a smaller rental company.
Yep.
So I know towables are possible. Honestly, fifth wheels are something that's not of interest to us, just because we don't like big trucks for our daily driver. So it's not been something that we would have ever
researched too much.
Researched it. Let's see. Celtic Amethyst asks, how difficult has it been for you to cook in that RV, and have you had a chance to do some fishing? I don't fish. I'm not going to fish. Not my thing. Cooking has been very difficult in here.
It's got zero counter space. Particularly when the stove is flipped up, then there's just no place to set anything. And the pots, the one big pot they have is actually bigger than the sink, so actually dishwashing has been a challenge because the pot doesn't even fit in the sink to wash it. Yeah,
the lack of counter space. We're used to induction cooking. This one has propane, and it's really finicky controls. The microwave works just fine. So we've gone more to convenience foods and eating out in here. But, we're on vacation too, so...
And just cooking without our spices and everything else, it's like
that's
there's
the real
not a lot
difficulties.
of...
I'm used to...
A spice rack.
Yeah, having a spice rack and having all my,
staples and stuff.
Staples and things that I would add in. Like, I want a splash of lime juice. Oh, I'm not going to go buy a bottle of lime juice.
For a rental RV.
Yeah. So those are the sort of things that have been difficult. Because, you're cooking in a guest space. You're not cooking in something that's your space.
Yeah.
That you're used to. Lee asks, what is the minimum size RV we'd recommend to live in full time?
Well, I mean, we've done as small as a 16-foot travel trailer, so...
There is no minimum.
Yeah.
It's what's right for you. Go look at a variety. It really depends upon the style of RVing you want, how important space is to you, how important being able to get down back roads is to you. There's a lot of trade-offs at every single size range.
And you can always change it up down the road. I mean, it was perfect for us to do several years in small, and that, prepared us and actually made us much better in choosing what we wanted when we decided to go slightly larger, and then larger still with the 35-foot bus.
Yeah, there is no standard. Yeah. You can full time in anything. Yep. It just depends upon how adaptable you are and what you're looking for in your experience.
And you can full time with abundance in even small things too. Small, smartly designed things are really wonderful, but you got to really hunt them out.
Let's see. Tina asked, did we prepay for the miles with the RV, or is there a standard amount per miles driven? That's actually a great point, a great question. I should have included that in the last section. Is some RVs come with a preset amount of miles. I saw some that included 300 and you paid by the mile afterwards. I honestly didn't look into how much the mileage was after that. It's a per day limit, so definitely read the fine print on that. The one we went with included unlimited miles, which was another plus with going with this one. So we didn't have to worry about it. We probably won't put more than 400 miles on it, because we decided to stick to just the Kenai Peninsula.
Yeah, we'll probably do about 400 or 500 miles total. And
we decided not to do go up to Fairbanks or.
Yeah, we did that on the train.
So, let's see here. Scott asks, do you find many musicians who are traveling or touring for a living? Are there many musicians that you found on the road? Yes, actually, we have encountered quite a few musicians who are traveling, either recording on the road or picking up gigs on the road, spreading their band. I mean, touring musicians are kind of some of the very first. They've been doing this
longer than anyone, really.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of carved a lot of paths for us RVers. There's touring buses that have bunk spaces for bands to tour in. But we have met a lot of full-time RVers who either are professional musicians and trying to make a go at it on the road and touring that way, or just integrating it in as a hobby and, just doing things along the road.
Yeah, we some of the more interesting ones, we've actually seen people who have set their RV up to be a studio, and they do remote recording and remote work, all from the comfort of their RV.
Okay, RS have not seen any wine in this due to the storage restrictions of the Class C. No, wine is allowed. It's only this chat started at 5 p.m. Alaskan time, so that we could get the East Coast in at still a reasonable hour tonight. We do have rum on board, and we do have a box of wine, which was gifted to us, by the way, by one of our viewers. Gifted us a box of wine before this video chat. So yes, we do accept virtual boxes of wine and bottles of wine. If you'd like to leave a tip on at the bottom of the page, technomadia.com, we have a leave a tip button. If you appreciate these chats, these are a gift to you. We are taking time out of our vacation even to do this video chat with you. So if you do appreciate these chats, we do appreciate bottles of wine, or if the thanks help too.
Or a bottle of rum too. We could
a bottle
change
of
it
rum
up too.
Yeah, we're not particular. No Gas asks, what induction unit is in the bus? We have a portable unit.
It's the
Mr. Induction, I think. We
Yeah.
want the same one that our Odyssey uses. If you go to technomadia/RV gear and click on the kitchen tab, I've got it listed there specifically with our Amazon link. So
yeah, it's a great little unit. It's I think
it costs,
$65 now.
I think they go for under $60, and it's portable, so it can be used indoor, outdoor. We can move it around, and then it stores in a cabinet underway, so we have the counter space.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the induction units is the small portable ones are really cheap. If you want the built-in countertop ones, it's like more than 10 times the cost. So we didn't do a built-in.
Okay, have we reached the end of the questions?
Cheers.
All right, I'm not seeing any more questions to answer. If we didn't get your question, if we missed it, please, you've got a really quick moment to type it in. You've got a question remaining that's lingering, whether about renting RVs, about the Alaskan experience, the bus process, or any other questions you have about life on the road. This is your last call for questions.
Something popped up.
Is it she or he? I'm not quite sure I understand. I think they're having a conversation
Oh,
on the thread.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, this has been a pleasure sharing a little bit of our Alaska RV Odyssey with you guys. And we'll probably maybe do our next chat might be like an update on all our bus projects or something. We've been getting lots of photos and everything else from our poor little bus that has been stripped naked and had
She's
her
gonna
paint
be
ground off.
awesome.
Nervous wreck. Nervous. But yeah, it's been a blast. MasterTech has been sending us daily updates, and it's been quite exciting to see what's happening now over on the Elkhart land.
So keep tuned on the Technomadia Facebook page or Instagram. We are posting photos as we get them from MasterTech, as well as from our adventures up here in Alaska. We'll be returning the rental here in a couple of days, and then we'll be going down to Seward, staying with some friends there. And then on July 5th, we get back on a one-way cruise south. Be back in Vancouver. I think we're going to stick around Vancouver for a few days, perhaps. We're looking at some Airbnb rentals as potentials to stay
We're really loving mixing up the different styles of travel and the different places to stay on this trip. So it'll be fun to do an Airbnb next.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to... We've had some very gracious hosts along this trip, and we're very thankful for that. We're also looking forward to some time on our own. And then we'll be returning to St. Louis, where Kiki and our Mini Cooper's at. And we'll wait there until... the time in which we can move back into the bus is when the windows are put back in. So we've ordered all brand new double pane windows that will be replacing the old single pane ones that were there. Yep. Once those are in, we can move back into the bus.
And then we will help with the final project.
We have some final projects that we'll be wrapping up there ourselves at MasterTech. And hopefully that happens in early August, I'm hoping. And then our next big adventure, big plan on the calendar is the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta. The Escapers group, which is a new working age RVers component of the Escapees RV Club that we're involved in launching this year, is having their very first convergence, which is a casual meetup, not quite a rally. They've got a reserved spot there in the takeoff field near where we'll all be camped at and having our very first Escapers meetup. So we're really looking forward to that. That'll be early October, and we have no clue what we're doing the rest of the year.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have a
the
new
way
home on wheels, and we'll be excited to.
We'll probably be afraid to drive it anywhere.
Yes. We'll have like plastic bumpers around it or something. Don't touch our paint.
Yes. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining in us up here in Alaska, and we will see you next month.